Hey everybody, Cool Cucumber here. And yes, the title is correct. This is a new project. If you're curious as to what's happening with Star Trek Cobbled, the game is still going on. It's been on standby because of a few issues. We've also decided not to upload the remaining episodes because of those issues, as it would make things seem, well, very poor quality. However, I'm sure each of the players would say that they're still having a degree of fun, at least those who have been able to play. But that beleaguers the question, what's this about? What is an episode 0? What's an abridged play? Why are you vlogging to us all of a sudden? Is this a new tabletop game? Nope. This is a Let's Play. What is hopefully my first in a return to form for Let's Plays. An abridged play is what it sounds like. Instead of being an experience where I try to show you every single thing and operate this as a guide or as a format for you to follow, instead it'll be more focused on the entertainment aspects, and I'll cut large portions of dead air, large portions of fat, so that you can get right to the stuff that you like. This is a series that will hopefully never have to have the utterance of, today's episode will be mostly dedicated to side questing, or reading lore, or whatever. It'll all be worked in. And I am going to take a few liberties with the story that are going to be alterations that I make. And with that, it also means that this is not for kids. YouTube's not for kids in general, so I shouldn't have to say that, but I have to say that. This isn't explicitly for adults. I could see somebody younger still enjoying it, but it's not targeted towards you. Some of the issues you might not find entertaining. I'm certainly going to be staying away from edgy content, but that's just me in general. I don't like looking for that fourth Chaos Emerald shadow. But I feel like before I get any deeper into this, I should talk about, you know, the very first thing that we see, the startup screens. There are 3 different startup screens for the Kanto games, not counting Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, which have very dynamic startup screens, respectively. Sorry about that, Skip. That one was unintentional because one of my cats was causing trouble, and I just thought I'd give the other one attention because she's... Stop it. Anyway, the boot up screens. When you start Fire Red or Leaf Green, you see the familiar image from the anime where Nidorino battles Gengar. Why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because if you were to play Pokemon Blue, it's different. It's in fact a Jigglypuff fighting a Gengar. A lot more of a mismatch until you realize that this is Gen 1, that was Gen 1 and everything is a mismatch. But that is neither here nor there. What's really important to draw attention to is what happens after the splash screen. You'll note in Fire Red and Leaf Green, you see this. Yeah, looks pretty cool, right? But in Red and Blue, instead you see this. It's a parade of different Pokemon to show you what is to come. And you might be wondering, why would you do this? Wouldn't this be a huge spoiler? At the time it was, but it was also kind of necessary. See, when Pokemon first came out in this year, I can't remember, I don't know the year off the top of my head. People didn't really know what Pokemon were. Now, that's changed. Pretty much everybody knows what Pokemon are, or at least can identify Pikachu. But then that wasn't the case. So showing some of the Pokemon that you can catch and encounter would get people hyped, especially if they were playing the game at demo kiosks at Walmart. Or Stadium or Snap, whenever they would come out. So excited for Snap 2. But we should actually talk about Fire Red for a little bit, I think. And the very first thing you note about Fire Red is tutorials. No, not them. Tutorials. So many tutorials. And to those who have played a lot of Pokemon games or started in Gen 3, you might think, oh, Pokemon's always been like that. But it actually hasn't. In Pokemon Red, Blue, Gold, and Silver, the catch tutorial is optional. Finally caught her. The only tutorial in those games that's actually forced are how you access your Pokegear in Gold and Silver. Otherwise, you can tell the kid in the grass in Gold Silver, nah, I don't need help catching Pokemon. And you can do the same with the old man, the old drunk, because he's actually a drunk in the Japanese version. He needs his sake, not his coffee, in Pokemon Red and Blue. And he mumbles about time being money, instead of saying, well, I'd better do it anyways. Thankfully in Sword and Shield they finally got past that to an extent. But it shouldn't have taken them that long. So long. And Fire Red and Leaf Green go really thick on the tutorials. Really, really thick on the tutorials, especially right away. They want to make sure that new players know exactly what they're getting into and exactly how to play the game, and that's fine. But Fire Red doesn't give you the choice to have that be a toggle. It's all required. And when I think about it, Fire Red and Leaf Green were the first. Yeah, it's necessary in Yellow. I don't know about Crystal, but it's also necessary in Ruby and Sapphire. But in those three cases, it was all directly linked to the story. You're not just being sat down and told, child, this is how you capture a Pokemon, and you must obey us completely and see all these words that read very slowly. And in Yellow version, you're not given that either. No. Instead, in Ruby and Sapphire, it's worked into the story. You're effectively giving Wally his catch tutorial. Because your father's a lazy slob. But you're doing it regardless. And in Yellow version, they make a joke out of it. The old drunk fails to catch the Rattata and wonders if he's lost his luster, if he's lost his skill. Fire Red and Leaf Green is the very first time that it becomes a mechanical thing. Where it becomes, sit down, make sure that whenever a battle starts, you damage the Pokemon a few times to get its hit points low. Then go to the items. I'm not going to do this to you guys. You don't deserve it. Ultimately, we come to this point where I talk about what my opinion of the game is going in. This could change by the end. I am open to change. I'm open to hearing your guys' opinions and the way you guys think. But as of now, I rate Fire Red as kind of C tier. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Which is, for the most part, what I rank almost all of Game Freak's games at. C tier or below. And I say Game Freak, I also mean the Pokemon Company. They're fun, but they're flawed. Which is fine. It's fine to enjoy a game that's not perfect. Not every game is going to be Majora's Mask, or Xenoblade Chronicles, or Banjo-Kazooie. You have to have Pokemon in there as a big selling, fun, but not perfect adventure. But why do I feel the way I do? Ultimately, to me, Gen 3 is about quality of life being high enough that it clashes very hard with a very user-hostile experience. What I mean by quality of life, I mean nature's, effort values finally being brought to the forefront. I mean a large variety of Pokemon, large enough to make effective teams out of almost any type. I mean lots of choices, lots of different cool, cute, and weird designs. And I mean, of course, you'd have to be blind to not realize that Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green are probably the best looking Pokemon games to this day, because their sprite art style has aged so flawlessly. And it's even better than the sprite art that would come later on, at least in my opinion. But the user hostility, it's not just the tutorials. It's trading. It's the post-game. It's just how hard this game tried to milk money out of its player base instead of being user-friendly. But we can't really get into that right now, because a lot of that stuff comes up in the end game and the post game, and I'll bring it up whenever it comes up. Until then, I've been Cool Cucumber. I hope you'll stay tuned till next week when we'll air this thing, and until then, stay cool.